Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Sounds good.
Okay, good. Hello,
Yes.
everyone. We want to go ahead and get started because it is 4 after and I don't want to keep people. But I did want to point out something before we get started. In the chat, the very first link is a link to our roundtable document for today. And I thought it might be good, and I will continue to populate it after this meeting. But if you have any ideas you want to throw in there, a tool, I'm going to put links that we talked about. I just think it's nice to kind of have something that you can refer back to instead of trying to, take notes really, really fast and furious. So there is a link to that document, and you'll see some tabs at the bottom to put some of your ideas on there. I'm going to go ahead and this is a membership committee sponsored roundtable and webinar today. I'm going to go ahead and let Josh introduce himself. Josh is our committee chair.
Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Brimmeyer. I serve as the committee chair for the membership committee this year. I also serve as the Dean of Student Affairs for 7th College at UC San Diego. And it is our pleasure to welcome you all here today to learn a little bit more about how to engage folks virtually and have productive meetings. So we're really, really excited to have you all here. It looks like we have about 60 participants. So I don't want to keep this any longer than that.
Thanks, Josh. The other thing I wanted to do is I just wanted to also acknowledge Alison Jones from our office, who is the Director of Corporate Membership and really all things with our corporate members, advertising, exhibits, and she's going to be on as well. So just wanted to kind of give her, oh, there you are. Do you want to say hi?
Just want to say a quick hi. I'm going to help Megan monitor the chat and take some notes for you guys. So don't stress out about doing that. I will do my absolute best to help get those questions that you guys have that pop up in the chat.
Okay, great. So everybody knows, I'm sure, that there's a reactions button at the bottom where you can raise your hand or give me a thumbs up or just do this so I know that everyone's still following along. Please do ask questions in the chat. That Google Doc also has a place when we leave here. If you have further questions, we will continue to update that as well. And what we're going to do for just a couple minutes to get everybody kind of in the mood for engagement, we're going to play a little Name That Tune. And what I want you to do is send a private chat. Can everybody see Josh Brimmeyer in their 2 column or in the 2? All right, pull Josh up. I'm always pulling Josh up. I'm just kidding. Go ahead and pull that up, and then what we want you to do is put the name of the song. Bonus if you get the artist, but we're just going to do a couple of them. And let me warn you, for whatever reason today, my sound is extremely loud. So if you can take a moment to turn your sound down a little bit, unless you want to jam out, which is perfectly fine with me. Since we're all at home, that might be okay. Let me get this queued up here. Thank you all for indulging me in that. I just wanted to show you one of the things that we kind of wanted to talk about is how do you start a meeting so that people can be excited? A lot of times we do cold starts, and I think that, that makes everything kind of stay at a lower level. And you're welcome to ask questions, but if you want to mute yourself back, that would be great. Okay, I'm queuing this up. Okay, so that is one example of a quick 5-minute way to start a meeting, a conference. You can use that with students. Obviously, if you're going to do it with students, you might not want to use, some of those older 9-to-5 songs they might not know. But at any rate, one of the things that I think that we did want to talk about today was the difference between different styles of engagement online. So, you know, there are extroverts and introverts. As you can tell, Josh and I probably fall into very obviously one of those categories. But you do have a lot of folks who are not extroverts, and it's really important to include them as well. And so we do use the chat box a lot for that. We do use the breakout rooms. You may know this, but you can have up to 50 rooms on Zoom. So it's great to even just break out a couple people at a time. Some of the other things that you can do so that people aren't just staring at you, because show of hands, how many people get on a meeting and everyone's just staring? Exactly. I actually set in on an RA training session a couple weeks ago, and honestly, at least 6 of them were seriously sitting like this. They didn't even make eye contact at all the whole time. So I think it is really hard to keep people's attention. One of the things that we've done that's been really helpful in the past is that for every person who asks a question or answers a question, we put their name into a raffle. So I like raffles because it's lower cost. You know, you can have a $10 Starbucks card for your conference or your staff or, you know, whatnot. And you can put as many people into that raffle, you know, as you like. A lot of folks these days are wonderfully into, you know, social justice and charities. You know, maybe your department has a fund of $20, and every time somebody asks a question or answers, you can put 50 cents into that donation fund for whatever, you know, your group would like to do. The other thing that I think has been really helpful that I wanted to mention is there is something called the Call of the Champions. Has anybody done this or used this? Oh, good. Britt has. Britt, do you want to unmute and tell us how you used it? Or if not, that's fine. I can I can keep going. Okay. So I'll go ahead and just share. What you do is you assign roles to people before you start the event. And examples of that would be the cheerleader. So you let somebody know ahead of time, hey, you know, your role in this meeting is to keep us positive, keep it fun. You know, that is your what we would like for you to do in the meeting. We have a mover and shaker, and that's a person who makes sure you don't get stuck in the weeds. A photographer, have somebody doing screenshots and trying to catch people doing, you know, interesting and funny things. Allison is playing this role for us today. She's a scribe, you know, kind of keeps record of what's going on. We would not probably want to do this, but if you were in a group and it was a safe group and it was for fun and jest, you also can have a shade thrower who makes funny comments and politely throws shade. And so that's also a good way to kind of get people involved right off the bat. Just remember, everything that you do online in Zoom that you would do in person takes 2 to 2.5 times longer. So any activity you would do in person, it normally takes that much longer. As you can tell, how many times in a meeting do you hear, you're on mute, you're on, we can't hear you. And so you have to allow for that as well. Ooh. We're hearing some nice music there. The other thing that I wanted to, is that you, Spencer?
Someone is watching The West Wing right now.
Yeah, I like that.
You can put everyone in the participants.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that worked. I don't have all rights. At any rate, the other thing is that we've always found that has worked successfully is that when you engage a group in solving a problem, you engage the group in solving a problem. So right off the bat, give them something quick to do. You know, whether that is tell a story, say, hey, we've got this issue, give an example, and immediately get people active and involved in that. Put them in small groups right away, and never go longer than 5 minutes without giving the group some kind of interaction. So with that, I'm going to show you something. Has everybody heard of or used wheeldecide.com? Or has anybody used it? So I love this one. I'm going to show you how this one works. Right here. Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay. There's a feature in Zoom that is called remote control. And Josh, I'm going to give you control for this. You can go ahead and spin the wheel. So I didn't turn the sound on, but you can hear. Okay, so you won a raffle to be entered in a $10 Starbucks gift card. The other way you can use this, though, is for icebreakers. So, Josh, you want to spin again?
Absolutely.
Okay, what's your favorite social media and why would we want to follow you? You can put anything you want into these wheels. You can design them. This is a free tool, and that's one of the reasons why I love it. Sometimes you know, we use it for all kinds of things. One time we did like a lunch together, and everybody was trying to decide what kind of food we were all going to eat together for one of our meetings. And so we spun it and we got Italian. So everybody, but you know, people get really into the wheel. The wheel never goes out of style for whatever reason. And they're, you know, yelling and screaming big money, that type of thing. So those are the types of tools that if you have used them in the past to put into that Google Doc that we put together for you. Some other things that I wanted to bring up too, just real quick, and then we're going to open it up for everybody else. If you have a way to do bulletin boards, and maybe it's just a Google Doc, this is for staff, this is for students, it can be in a meeting if you're hosting a conference. Some of the things that we have done is a question of the day, you know, get people coming back and looking at that. Quarantine cuisine, post your favorite recipes there. Create a staff playlist, create a floor playlist, create, you know, a playlist with, you know, any of your groups. A water cooler, everybody probably has that. Self-care. Something that I've seen that was really popular was called life links. And life links are favorite how-tos. So, you know, or favorite self-care. My favorite yoga video on YouTube, those types of things. You could do a skill swap. Have everybody put a skill that they have. I know Ohio State University just did for their staff, and then they also did for the students. They went out and found other students who were in majors like art and did an art class. They had the Ohio State Men's Choir do a little concert for them. So those are, and again, I'm looking at low cost, no cost, because I think we're all trying to look in that direction right now. We always end a meeting in our committee with one good thing, where everybody goes around and tells one good thing. It could be what happened at work, but it might also just be, you know, a celebration that happened in your personal life. A lot of times we'll play Name That Tune, like we just did. And another thing that I think is really helpful, and you probably have seen this, but you can put 70 characters where your name is. And a lot of times we'll make a theme for the meeting and say, all right, today is everybody's favorite TV show or the last concert that you attended, you know, put that in that space. I've seen people recently do cocktail mixing live. You might not want to do that if you're doing it for your freshman students, but as far as staff goes and things like that, coffee with coaches has been another very popular thing where you get folks who are maybe higher up in the university or know a lot about kind of an ask an expert or a mentor that could, teach you something new. Of course, there's book club, scavenger hunts. One of the things that I thought was really neat that one of the staffs at one of our sister associations did was called a virtual trash challenge. They called it a trashy event. And basically they went around and everybody from their own area where they live found a little piece that was trashed up and they cleaned it, and they did before and after pictures. And people love that because it also was, helping in many ways. I'm gonna stop here, but I am going to put into that document when we leave here today some of the actual links to the prize wheel, virtual games that are free. There's, you may have heard of Jackbox, Kahoots. There's an online free categories. So I'm going to go ahead and put Tribond is one that we play. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the notes. And I'm going to turn it over to Josh. Hopefully that was helpful to show you a couple things. But I really want to find out what you're all doing and that you can talk to each other.
So yeah, thanks, Megan. We did have one question that came up in the chat, and I thought was really helpful for you. Maybe you have an opportunity to explain it. But the remote control in Zoom, how did that work?
Okay, so if you are in Zoom and you go to your share screen, and well, I don't have the prize wheel up, but I will. Hang on. Okay, there is a little tab at the top that says remote control. And if you click on that, it will give you a list of everybody in your meeting. And I just chose Josh. And so when I chose Josh, then he was able to do, hey, there you go. Somebody wrote hey on the screen. You can do that as well. There's a whiteboard. So if you want to play Pictionary or something like that, you can also do that as well. So hopefully that helps. If you do want to play music through your screen, a lot of people may know this, but a lot of people may not. If you go to share, and then you go up to advanced. Under advanced, you'll see music or computer sound. Because if you just play something on your computer, not everybody's going to be able to play Name That Tune because only you will hear it. So that's another tip as well.
These features keep getting more and more advanced. It's really great. All right. So we wanted to just open this up for a Q&A and the roundtable where folks in this room may have really good ideas or really good tools for how to make these meetings more productive, how to keep these things fun, and also how to manage things like silence on calls, and looking at low cost or other online tools that are available for folks to have meetings and conferences. So we wanted to open it up for a question and answer session. So I think the first question that we might want to kick off is, how do you bridge silence on calls?
And if you want to just raise your hand, we'll go ahead and call on you.
Not seeing any hands raised.
So this is a good example.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I would say, silence in these meetings serves a purpose. In many cases, we're all on Zoom in these situations, so the internet can be a little bit slow. We're not all completely synchronous in real time. And so giving that extra few seconds gives space for folks to either hit unmute, for their internet connection to catch up, and for people to think about the question that you've posed. So that silence actually can serve a purpose. It also gives people really just a chance to kind of think through what they want to know. So that's important there. When you have 73 people in a meeting like this, it's also an opportunity for us as the facilitators to say, oh, hey, maybe this isn't a question that people have. Maybe they've already answered this one. We've been working in Zoom for about 6 months now. So there's that question there. Are there other questions that you want? Oh yeah, Megan.
I was just gonna say, I think if you have more than 25, I would use breakout rooms, since you can use up to 50 of them. And Britt, did you have something to add? I saw your hand go up.
I was just going to say, a lot of the times with my students, I'll try and kind of like what you were saying, adding in a layer of fun into the question. So if I know they're probably not going to answer, I kind of jokingly said bribery, but real talk, I actually have been bribing my students with candy, because luckily because I live on campus, I'm already here. And so being able to just give them like prepackaged candy or some kind of fun little thing. I've also bribed them with like photos of my dog, because that's something I connect with my RAs on a lot. And if they're not answering, I'll be like, all right, the first person to answer my question gets the next photo I take of Coco. And that really gets them involved because they're obsessed. So yeah.
Good. I also like to put things back on myself. So sometimes I'll do the prize wheel and say, you spin it, I'll answer. And I'll put funny things on there, and that sometimes putting it back on me will be helpful.
Love that. I'm also starting to see some questions pop up in the chat here. So I was asked for strategies engaging non-freshmen in apartment-style housing via virtual events. So are there ideas that you all have or strategies that you have for engaging non-first-year students in apartment-style housing?
Well, I can get it started too. A lot of apartment style living folks, I've heard do a lot of the, cooking demonstrations, get together that way. There was a TikTok challenge that happened at Curtis Institute of Music, and they did it by apartment. And then at the end, they had an international film festival and voted for the best TikTok. I suppose you could, I always say TikTok, and my daughter tells me that's not a TikTok unless it's on TikTok, but something like TikTok. The other thing I saw was, and again, this is an Ohio State one, but they all went out together, well, socially distanced, and got fish, and they named the fish, and now the fish show up, their names show up all over, like, Beatrice was here, Beatrice the fish. They take pictures of Beatrice and post her all around, the hall. So I think those are also a couple ideas that I've heard that got real popular.
Those are great ideas. Does anybody else have anything that's worked really well, a good program?
One thing I've been doing, so in my building, I'm Zakiyah, I'm at Drexel. And then currently in my building, we have about 35 students, and it's mixed from first year students up until maybe sophomore, juniors. And one thing that my RAs and myself have been doing are just like leaving package programs. So dropping off canvases to do paint nights. One really successful one they just had was making heated rice, like heating pads with rice. So just dropping off materials and having the residents either sign up to participate or just leaving them there for them to do it on their own time. We found that doing things more passively and not on Zoom right now is working the most, without like having people come and log on at one time, because that's not really getting the highest attendance rate. But dropping off package programs for them and just offering them that space of like directions on how to get things done has been really successful. And they've been sharing pictures in the group chats of like, this is the things I created, which has been working pretty well for us.
I love that. Those are really good ideas. Zakiyah, did you have something to add?
Zakiyah, yes, I was the one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you.
My CA, sorry, my name is Angie and I work at Eastern Washington University, and we are going through an idea of doing like a potential pen pal programming of some sort. We're trying to really work out the kinks, but basically they will drop it off in the hall office, and then we would, with gloves, put them in the mailboxes and do something like that. Again, we're still trying to figure out the kinks with COVID, but that way they can receive a letter from someone, at least once a week. So a way to stay connected.
Really great, Angie. I like that.
One thing I find is a challenge is when you do have more than a few people, is making sure that everybody can participate. Because a lot of games aren't set up for, 30 people. And so I'm going to put in the Google Doc some ideas for that. But I just wanted to show you really quick. So this is one that we actually do quite a bit. It's called Tribond. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's one that you can either do on your own or in pairs. And so it is 3 things that are alike, and then you have to figure out what they are, like picnic, card, pool. Well, they're all tables. So that's one thing that I think a lot of people can use. This is Match the Celebrity, but you can use it by finding out people on your staff's interests or something unique about them. It works really well with students as well. You put the student's name and then mix in a bunch of different facts that may or may not be them, and people have to try to match them up. And so that's also another thing that I think is a good get to know you type of thing. There's a lot of scavenger hunts going on that I saw that the staffs and students were just laughing hysterically because they would say, anything that's One Direction, and just within their room, because a lot of us are quarantined now, you have to find something that is related to One Direction, and the roommates were going crazy, like laughing and giggling about trying to find that. And we did that with our staff too one time, and it worked out really, really well. So that's another one. And Family Feud is, let me see if I can find it here. Family Feud is really, really easy to do. You can make as many long teams as you want. You can put people in breakout rooms, and you can even make it something that is specific to your university, your school, questions that, don't have to be generic.
Megan, we have a good question in the chat here. Will this recording be sent out after the conclusion of this call? There's a lot of really great ideas here.
I will check on that. I believe we are being, actually, I know we are being recorded, so it will be housed, I believe, on YouTube. But I will put that link in that Google Doc. And that's one of the great things about having an Alison on your team, because she's helping me capture these so we can put them in the Google Doc as well. So you'll have the link to the recording, and you'll have a laundry list of all of these things that everyone is contributing with.
Speaking of Alison, Megan, there are a couple things in the chat that might have gotten missed a little, but one I thought was interesting. There was someone asking if anyone's done a virtual escape room and how that worked out. So that might be, if someone has, that might be great for the group to share. And then the other one, someone was asking about the Discord app, if folks were using it with their on-campus residents and how it was working. So those are the 2 things I saw that we hadn't quite gotten to yet.
That's good. Is anybody using that? I do know that Great Hat people, there's a countryliving.com article I can post in there, have all kinds of virtual escape rooms that you can utilize. Some cost, some don't cost. But one thing that I saw was really cool is that one of the floors at Ohio State had some engineering and math students, and they really got into, they created their own. So that's also an idea. I love the escape room, although I would never escape because I'm terrible at them.
Megan, I was just going to share, I have used the Discord app, not for COVID reasons, but actually for student leadership related in the past. And so one thing that's kind of nice about Discord in comparison to like a GroupMe is that you can have channels for different things. If you've never used Discord before, like it allows for channel conversations and threads, which can be a good way to like engage students because they can follow along only the thing they're interested in. I mean, you can have a channel for like, I love donuts, I don't know, right? And so like people can just share about that, and then they can mute the things that they're less interested in. So Discord was used with the Kerr region of Nakur for a while, and that was so that they could have like sidebar conversations with different subgroups.
Oh my gosh, I love donuts. Sign me up. Sasha, while you're sort of on unmute, can you also introduce yourself, because I think that we didn't get a chance to do that. Sasha is also one of the membership committee members.
Yeah, so I'm Sasha Matsumi. I'm hosted at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. And yeah, I am a member of the membership committee, which is great because love to talk about how to engage our members in a Kuai and how to get a lot out of the experience. I was first introduced to a Kuai when I was in grad school, and I scoffed, right? I was like, yeah, but why would I get involved in a Kuai? Like you know, that's for like senior level administrators to run for positions or to get involved in committees. And I'm really glad that I was encouraged to get involved earlier. And I know in times that are COVID, we want to think deep and hard about what do you really get out of the Kuai experience, and knowing that money is tight and time is tight. And so I'm happy to see the membership committee be able to host these webinars and these opportunities to have roundtable discussions. So hopefully members are getting a little bit out of it.
Great. It looks like Humber College is also using Discord and ran an escape room. So the other thing is, if you want to put your contact information, it's up to you, in that Google Doc with a related note, you know, have used Discord or something like that. If you don't, you know, mind people reaching out to you, I think that would be, you know, really helpful too. Any other?
Yes. Hi, my name is Paige Thomas. I'm a third-year CRL at UNC Greensboro. Go Spartans. Yay! Some of the things, and this is a shout out to our RHA, they did a virtual like opening program. One of them was virtual caricature drawings. Excuse me, words are hard. And that was really well attended. And so being able to watch the gentlemen sort of draw it online, and they came in during their appointment slot and then they left, which was really cool. We also utilized Instagram Live for a live talent show, and that was also very well attended since they're already you know, engaging via Instagram anyway. So that's been really cool. Personally, amongst my staff, I've just invited them into things that I consider self-care myself and have gotten them really excited about, which is plants. Since COVID, I became like a plant mom of like 40 plants. So, so allowing them to like sit with me as I like repot my plants, of course, socially distant, but we're outside too, has also gotten a great, I guess, connection, an intimate connection, and being able to really see how they're doing outside of just hosting my one-on-one space. So that's been cool.
I love the plant idea. That's a really good one. We actually had a pet parade. Now I know for staff that works, for conferences that might work. If students are on campus, that might not work unless you do have fish or include your Venus flytrap. So I see a question down here that says, does anyone have advice on building community amongst a small staff? We are completely virtual for class and are not doing any in-person programming. Does anyone have advice for that?
So one of the things that we're doing with our staff, and it's a little bit larger for Suffolk College, is actually having folks do sort of a show and tell. So we say, we don't tell them we're doing it in advance, but because they're right there in their homes, we say, all right, we want you to go find an item in your apartment that has value or meaning to you and show that off. So for example, for me, it was like, oh, hey, this is my Pride mug from Starbucks. And so for me, it's really important that I represent myself well and that people know who I am. And this is a big part of who I am. And so I show this off and let people know about that. I'm also a coffee addict. So people can see that too. And it's just a great way to get people to know each other, build connections and relationships that way. And it makes it interactive and a chance for people to share a little bit about themselves.
I love that. You can use a prize wheel for that too, for a lot of those types of things where, you can have names on the prize wheel and that's who you have to work with on something. And so people sit there like, yay, I got Josh. Or Allison might be like, I got Megan, darn it. So that's another good way to get, people to connect.
I don't want to take up space if other people have, but I do have some more suggestions.
Yay, go for it.
Okay, something that I've done as well is I started like a Mondays Matter sort of message that I send out to my staff because y'all know Mondays, okay? So now I'm allowing my staff to be the author of the Mondays Matter email, kind of whatever, or not me email, but message. And so they're really excited about that. Secondly, I also utilize GroupMe. So I'll throw drop a GIF in here about how you're feeling to get them to engage via GroupMe, or I'll have a poll in GroupMe be like something funny. And so that's been a way to kind of get them engaged with apps and things that they're already using.
Those are great ideas. I don't know why, but I just can't stop looking at this idea from Alex, which said, I got a whole presentation on why Finland doesn't exist. That might be one of my favorite things today.
It was a well thought out argument too, I have to admit.
What? Did they do a good job of proving it's not there?
Yeah, I'm a believer. I don't think Finland's there. I've never seen it, so.
That is true. That is true. Anybody else have some ideas or questions that you would like to ask?
There's a app and a website called Flipgrid that some of your students might be using in classroom settings. And so if you're thinking about like what are software they're using in classrooms that you could turn into social. So in Flipgrid, you can like ask a question or pose something, and then they can shoot little mini videos of themselves. You can set the time limit. So it can be 30 seconds, it can be 3 minutes. So it kind of follows like the TikTok culture concept, where it's very short. And so you ask a question, they answer it, and then they can like upvote each other or comment on it. But I find that that's like, it gets more engagement than just the texting version of like GroupMe, I'm commenting through words, but I can make a funny video, I can do the music, I can do something and engage through a video. So if they already are using it for class, that could be a software that works. It also could be a bad software to use because they might think of it as a class software, but it's worth a shot.
I like that. That's really good. I like the @Mary comments that are going on if you guys get a chance to look at those. Those are funny. But that does bring up a good point too, because I have seen folks do mocktails. I know not everybody is either A drinker, or B, old enough, or C, shouldn't have it in the halls, obviously, or in a staff meeting. But there are videos on how to make, mocktails. There's you could have folks do that themselves. So it doesn't necessarily have to include alcohol, although I suppose if it gets snuck in there, who knows? Well, has anyone seen students or other staff members come to you and have ideas, or are you always feeling like you're pushing out to them?
Well, hi everyone. My name is Mark Cordova. I use he and they pronouns. One of the things we did was we took the programs that have gone really well historically for my community, and tried to figure out how to digitize them and make them work electronically. So for context, my building is all graduate students. And this year specifically, all of them but 3 are returning to the building. And so we kind of like are leveraging that historical context to our advantage. And that event is actually tomorrow. We're doing a Mid-Autumn Festival program. And so we did a sign up for food via Google Forms. And right now we have about 15 students signed up out of the roughly 100 we have in the building. So I'll take 15% of residents.
Hey, Megan and group, you guys have a question. Does anyone know of a software that allows you to put a live response, parentheses, charts, questions, etc., inside a PowerPoint presentation?
That's a good question. Inside a PowerPoint, I don't know. I mean, obviously Google Doc is what, you know, what I use for live. Does anybody else know of a way to do that? Well, I guess could you put the PowerPoint in the Google Doc area? But I don't know if it'd be live. That's a good question. I'm gonna write, well, and Allison probably has too. Write that down and see. Oh, somebody wrote QR code maker.
And there's also, it looks like Poll Everywhere is being listed quite a bit in here. And so that might be something where you can put like an app into the PowerPoint that would then allow the information to come in live. Am I understanding that correctly? Looks like Carly and a few others, Alex, have put that in there. Am I understanding that correctly? Yeah.
Yeah, and poll, you can do polls in Zoom. I just tried to do a poll and I don't have permission for my own webinar to do it. So I don't know who to ask because I thought I would allow myself, but I can't. But what I wanted to ask was maybe just a show of hands on how many of you actually have students on campus? Okay. Well, that's quite a few, and then there's quite a few that don't. For those of you who do not have students on campus, can you tell us a little bit about how you are still engaging with them, or do you not do that during this time?
We're trying to, we have like only like very extreme cases, 33 students on campus. We're trying to engage with students who are not here. We've been doing some Zoom programming and inviting them, but no one has wanted to come. So I don't know if other people are having better luck with off-campus students, but right now we are not. We're looking at doing some other stuff. We're hoping to do maybe a costume contest, like a virtual costume contest where everyone submits pictures and then they vote on a winner, and we'll have a prize based on how much money we have for a gift card, basically. But we're not getting people wanting to participate virtually if they're not already here. I don't know if other people are having better luck. It would be great if you could help us.
I'd be happy to chime in. Sorry, this is my first time participating. My name is Shay Avi. I'm Assistant Director for Student Services at Barrett the Honors College at Arizona State University. It's awesome hearing the conversations. One thing that has worked for us is that students are still very much interested in incentives and food and t-shirts and things like that. And there are workarounds that we have been able to do to be able to provide them those things as a reward for their participation. We also have somewhat of like a virtual currency that allows them to kind of redeem for swag, which has been really, really effective in a virtual setting. And so students participating in events can be awarded essentially virtual currency, or what we call Barrett bucks, which is an awesome incentive. There are students that are saying, I'm here because I know I can get a Barrett buck and redeem that for a shirt or a pullover or a fidget spinner or whatever it is that they're interested in. What I'll also say on the last question, sorry, I'll hop off soon, is that the whiteboard function on Zoom is actually a really powerful engagement tool, and not a lot of people are using it. And so it's very simple for students or participants to also kind of pick their own color or their stamp and kind of map themselves. And so we've done like different mapping activities on that of like political spectrum or happiness or sadness, stress, things like that. And we get some really rich feedback from students in those settings.
That is really great. One of the other tools that I love that's similar to the whiteboard in Zoom is called Jamboards on Google. It's a new program that they put out recently, and it's really great because it's like a PowerPoint presentation, but it's far more interactive, where folks can plug and put information in there. So it would work similar to what Shay is saying here, but it also allows you to save it, and you can continue to move forward and have multiple boards there. And it's really been a helpful tool for us. We've used it with our orientation, and then also with our students for involvement. So they can throw Post-its up and throw out ideas. They can do a lot of stuff. So we've been working directly with our students on 7th College at UCSD is a brand new college. It just launched this year with its first class of students. And so we're trying to engage them in like, what do you want to be called? Do you want to be called Luckies? Do you want to be called Sevies? Do you want to be called Seveners? Like all of these different random questions we want their input on. And so it's been a really fun interactive process. And so that tool has been super helpful.
Hi everyone, my name's Bree. I work at Drexel University, and I am overseeing a hall of about 40 or so graduate students and upperclassmen, all living in their own full apartments, which even last year was very hard to get them out to an event. We would have tops like 5. So this year for my RAs, in terms of motivation, I've been really telling them that the one-on-one conversations that they're having with their students this year are going to probably be more impactful than the programming, and to really capitalize on those conversations. And they've seen that themselves. We start a little bit late being on a term schedule here at Drexel, and they just recently had their first floor meetings a week or so ago, and noticed that they had more luck with the students who weren't able to attend their floor meeting, and which they connected with one-on-one and had better conversations. So for motivation for my staff this year, I just got a message that their program today had no attendees. I'm really going to be pushing them to capitalize on those one-on-one conversations, and borrowing from our friends Zakiyah and her RAs, and doing some more packaged programming that students can do on their own time.
I love that. If anyone has, speaking of self-care, if anyone has any apps that you found that have been helpful, I know some of our staff use Calm, Headspace, and we've been doing some Alison has been on this too. When we were physically in the office, we were doing meditation on Thursdays at 9 for 10 minutes. But we've been talking about doing it virtually too. And I thought it was really helpful. Alison, did you?
Absolutely. I still kind of do it. At the beginning of our quarantine, we were still, the woman who was in our office, who was kind of in charge of, not in charge, self-appointed in charge of our meditation, was sending links, and I would do them. It was a little difficult with my husband and 15-year-old son here, but I really needed it because of said husband and 15-year-old son.
One of the other groups that I'm in, not for work, but just personally, is an association, and there's a lot of scientists and folks that work in that area, and they do this thing whenever we get on a call called because it's elements, a periodic table, but they call it the element of surprise. And every time you do an element of surprise, you get something sent to you. And so mine the other day was, my background was Thelma and Louise. And I threw up, my Thelma and Louise, sunglasses. I have mustaches here just in case. You really popular right now. They all look for it all the time, are my tiny hands. So, sometimes I think little quirky things like that, if it works for your group, can be a lot of fun too. All right. Well, I think we're almost at time here. Is there anything else anyone wants to add before we click off? And did everybody get the link? You can email me if you did not get the link. Again, I'm Megan Bricker, and Josh is our committee chair, and Sasha is also on the committee. If you think that you want to get more involved in a KUI and meet more people, we do a lot of this spontaneous brainstorming, even not in such a formal way, but just at our committee meetings. Please reach out to me. We'd be happy to have you on the committee, or just attend or ask any questions. Josh, Sasha, am I?
That's great. We would love to have more members, and hope that this has been a helpful session for all of you.
Yeah, and please do use that Google Doc if you do have more questions, and we'll continue to answer them as we move along.
And I took 3 pages of notes. 3 pages of notes, so your Google Doc will be full.
The
Google, here, right here.
Yay! The Google Doc right now, I saw this in the chat. It's blank for us to fill in. I didn't want to fill it in yet because I have tons of these ideas, but I wanted to hear yours first, and then I'll go back through and add mine. So if you are seeing it and there's not a lot filled in on it, it was created like that. So okay, and my email. Let me throw my email in the chat in case you need that. And I am also on the ACUI website, Director of Engagement, Member Engagement. And I went ahead and threw that, well, here we go. Did everybody see that?
Megan, can they share the Google Doc with colleagues?
Yeah, I think that is fine to do that. Sure.
And
there
student
are
staff?
What's that?
And student staff?
Yeah, RAs. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. There is on the front page, there is a little list of like do's and don'ts of things like maybe not to put on there, or, but other than that, feel free. If there's really good ideas, though, make sure that you bring them back to us. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. And we really appreciated having you here today. And if you do have any other questions, I do know a lot about working Zoom. So if you want some more help on that, let me know. If you want us to pop into one of your staff meetings, we're happy to do a mini version of this with just all the links and just, show them. Okay, thank you all. Thanks for coming. Hope that one of those tunes is in your head for the next week. See you later.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you came.
Can I ask you, you were saying like we could maybe, I don't know, sit on the committee meetings? That's a thing we could possibly do?
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to have you sit in. We'll have our October meeting in a few weeks coming up. That'd be a great time to pop in. Right now, what we're doing, which I think is really important, and I would love to have more feedback, is, we do have some institutions that are kind of struggling with, getting memberships right now and with our budgets, and we're just trying to kind of figure out a way, how can we help them a little more, with that. That's one of the things that we're doing. We're doing more of these types of things. So we're looking for topics for more discussions. So that's another thing. And then we do go over benefits. What are some more benefits we can provide? What ones do you think people aren't, utilizing? And then our committee, I'm going to admit, is a little bit extroverted. So we do tend to get off track a little bit and have a little bit of crazy fun. It's not unusual to see Josh and I break out into dance or song, but promise to keep that at a minimum, unless you want to join in which case.
I always want to join in.
Well, we are trying to write a Kauai the musical, but this whole quarantine put a little wrench in it. But yeah, so if you don't mind, if you're interested, either just shoot me an email or put it on the Google Doc, either way, under questions. So I love that, Mary.
Hey, Megan, is this video going to be available on YouTube?
I think it's YouTube.
Okay,
But
so
I'm going to put a link in the Google Doc to it once it gets up. It takes a little bit for it to, I think for Sean to get it up.
okay. All right, Maria, did you get that?
Yay!
Perfect.
That's funny. Okay, good. Anything else anybody wants to ask while we're a smaller group here on the phone or on the Zoom? You're good? All right. Well, reach out if you need anything. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you again.
Bye, everyone.